I remember everything about this day, and I probably will always remember this day. It was a Monday. I had just gotten back from New York, having seen my daughter graduate from NYU, and it was a great time in my life. I remember this firm that I was running was very successful, and it felt like it was hitting on all cylinders. However, that Monday morning, over half of my team walked in. This was 4 attorneys, and let me know that they were leaving in 30 days, along with 2 of our best paralegals. So at the time, I think this particular firm had 7 attorneys in it, and what that simple message meant to me was we were going to lose $150,000 a month of revenue with no real way to replace it. At the time, it felt like, and it truly was, an existential threat to the firm. I think that most firms would have closed because of an event like that, but we did find a way to not only turn it around, but to become a better and much more successful organization because of it. I had spent a lot of time in my professional career on personal development. So not only becoming a better attorney and a better leader, but really developing my personal skills to handle situations like this. But of course, it is one thing to listen to what to do from somebody preaching it to you on a stage, and then actually doing it when the time comes. And so there were 3 basic things we did to survive this. The first thing that I did was to see the problem for what it was, and not worse than it was. It was bad, and it could mean the end of the existence of the firm, but it was also survivable. And that's a decision that I made right away. So the real situation that it was an existential threat, but I felt that it was truly survivable. The second thing that I did was I created a razor focus on the numbers. So it was, to say the least, a kind of a bloodbath to look at the numbers initially, but I had at the time a very good finance director, and we sat down and we modeled this out. Even if we lost this much money, how could we survive this? And we found a way forward that at least in theory could work. So we had a path to success, even if it was pretty damn attenuated. And the third thing that I did was I began to reallocate resources. And so this is really important. We cut expenses to the bone, but one of the things that we did not significantly cut was our marketing. And that may sound counterintuitive, but I knew that the marketing piece was the only thing that was going to ultimately save the firm, and it was going to impact my ability to recruit. So in terms of regular expenses, we cut out everything we absolutely didn't need. I cut my own compensation to the minimum necessary amount to cover my monthly expenses. And then we looked at marketing, and all we did with marketing was we cut or reduced marketing efforts that were longer term plays. So for example, we had a newsletter that was costing us $2,000 a month, and we got a lot of clients from it, but it was a longer term play. It took longer for us to see results on that. That was one of the marketing things that we cut out. So overall, I saw it for what it was, not worse than it was. I focused strictly on the numbers, and then I adjusted and allocated our spend in order that we could survive this crisis. It's easy to chuckle about it now, but at the time, it was one of the most difficult things that I ever went through. I was literally working 14, 15, 16-hour days. I would get in at 7. I would work all day long till about 6 o'clock. I would go home and eat, and then I would come home and work till midnight or 1 in the morning. I knew that's what it was going to take to do it. So what ultimately happened? We survived, obviously. That's why I'm here shooting this. But we learned a lot. We learned that the team, as it was structured at the time, and we did not want to face this, was never going to be able to reach the sort of heights that we wanted. We were never going to be able to achieve our goals because there were certain personalities and attitudes on the team that should have been addressed in the past. And so I learned more than anything from this experience that when you have a cancer or when you have something that is in the way, no matter how painful it is, it has to be removed immediately. And so by letting it fester, we actually made it worse than it needed to be. The second thing was I became to fully understand one of the core questions that we asked as a team, which was, how is this the best thing that ever happened to us? I learned to say that in the face of adversity. And again, it's easy to preach it. It's a whole different ball game to be hit by a freight train and then to say, how's this the best thing that ever happened to me? But the truth of the matter was, it was like pulling a Band-Aid off all at once. We got rid of every person on the team that shouldn't have been on the team. And so it allowed us to build back in a better way. We built better culture. We became more profitable. We had much more fun as a team because we began to recruit much more for personality and experience than just experience alone. And the last and probably the hardest thing that I learned was that I had to sit there and ask myself, what was my role in this? And when you do that, you will see that the people around you will often tell you, hey, you didn't have a role in this. None of this was your fault. You're the victim here. And that's almost never true. You always have a role in the things that were happening. My role, I became lackadaisical as an entrepreneur and leader. I allowed some toxic relationships to begin to fester on the team, and I ended up with a team, a partial team of attorneys that I really didn't like spending time with, and then I was able to see the fallout on that. So hopefully you'll get something out of this, and I'm here to tell you that running a law firm, especially a divorce and family law firm, is not easy. You will be challenged at some point, and sometimes even when you're doing everything right, something comes out of nowhere, like a pandemic, that completely turn your business upside down. But I think looking at those factors that I just talked about would certainly be a way that you could find a path through and a path to not only succeed, but to be better than you were when you started.